Hi, everyone. I know some of you are connecting to audio now. My name is John. I'll introduce myself again later. But we're just so thankful that all of you are here today, excited to just come and learn about sustainability. Feel free to have your video on. I know for me, like just the time of COVID, it makes it difficult to be engaged and excited. And I love seeing that people are here, that you're actually real and not just a name. So thanks again for joining us. And yeah, we'll go ahead and start with this first video. The volume might be a little bit loud, and if so, I'll try to turn it down. But if you have headphones in, just be aware. Cool. Well, welcome to the Green Program, and here we go. Awesome. I'm experiencing major travel FOMO right now. Hopefully, all of you in your apartments, homes, dorms, wherever you are joining us from, if you're here, you're excited to learn about education, sustainability, adventure. We're so thankful that you're in to learn more. So thanks for showing up and just excited to chat with you more about the Green Program. Cool. Here we go. Oh, might have gone twice. Lucy, John, that's me. My name is John Rick. I'm from the Green Program. As you see here, I'm the Assistant Director of Global Enrollment, help you with every question you have about programs, resources, and I help do some outreach like this with our wonderful ambassadors to get all of you here to learn about sustainability education. This is a picture of me holding a puppy. How did I get involved with the Green Program? Well, the pup has a reason. So basically, I was in the northern mountains of Thailand studying abroad. I was actually studying the political ecology of forests as a biology student. And it was really impactful for me because I ended up shifting and changing from my background in biology towards sustainable development. And how that sort of happened was meeting people in this village here where I was living, and learning about how people, one, took care of the environment, two, how they were living as indigenous people in the national park, and how that was very different than my experience in the United States. And three, for a lot of these issues surrounding development, urbanization, and even like the brain sap from these communities into large urban cities, it was really impactful for me to come at it with my Western United States understanding of development and learning from these communities of how they perceived sustainable development. So I walked away as someone who was more informed about my position and my biases, and really understanding myself better and what other cultural contexts and other cultural perspectives, how they lent themselves to sustainable development in different ways. You see these options to connect with me. Feel free to reach out. But otherwise, I am the boring one. You came here to meet the other two. So Lucy, I'll ask you to introduce yourself to everyone.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Lucy Toppin. I'm a third-year environmental engineering student here at Michigan Tech. I love going to school at Tech. I'm involved in a bunch of cool stuff. One being the Engineers Without Borders. I'm the co-team lead for the Guatemala project team. Super exciting. I also work with Built World Enterprise. And then as far as research, I just joined Dr. Becker and Dr. Seagren's team for wastewater sampling to try to detect COVID-19 on campus. So that sounds exciting, but it's really just playing with wastewater, which I think is fun, but not for everyone. And then for fun, I love to mountain bike, explore the Keweenaw. I'm also the captain of the women's ultimate Frisbee team here at Tech. And yeah, so if you are interested in any of the groups I just mentioned, my contact information is right there, but today I'm here to represent the Green Program as a Green Ambassador, and I can't wait to share more.
We're so excited to have you, Lucy. Thanks for taking the time. I can't wait for everyone to hear more about your experience. Speaking of incredible experiences, Mallory, please introduce yourself. Tell us all the cool things and who you are that makes you.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Mallory Heine, and I am a fourth-year biomedical engineering student here at Tech. I also love attending Michigan Tech. That's why we're all here, right? But I studied abroad in Iceland this past January, and now I'm an ambassador for the Green Program after having an incredible experience with them. So I'm just an ambassador here at Tech, and I'm so excited to share my experience with you guys. And I have my connect points. You guys can message me at any time. I'd love to, one-on-one chat with you guys about studying abroad and my experience and what you guys are interested in. But other than being an ambassador, I am also on the Biomedical Robotics Organization. And I'm also a barista at Big B. I don't know about you guys, but I am a huge coffee person. I literally cannot get through my day without it. And I also might be joining the log rolling club because I'm taking a class in log rolling right now, and it is so much fun. And I actually had a tournament today and I won it. And I was like, oh, well, I might as well join the log rolling club because it's so much fun. So yeah, that's a couple of ways I'm involved in campus. But like I said, I'm excited to share my experience with you guys. And I'd love to chat with you guys about the Green Program. So feel free to connect and reach out at any time.
This is the first time I've heard about the log rolling club. I am jealous of all of you at MTU. I also played Frisbee, so I'm excited that both of you are finding ways to continue to be involved. All right, Mallory, Lucy, and I all introduced ourselves. Now I'm going to turn the floor over to all of you. In the chat, I really want to know who's here. Can you please write down your name, or I guess your name's in there, but at least your major, what do you study? And also, how about the COVID's over and you're able to travel tomorrow? You've just booked a plane ticket tonight. Where do you want to travel to? So pick another country, throw it in the chat. I'm going to wait until all of you respond. Just excited to meet all of you and see where you're coming from. So yeah, where is everyone excited to travel from? What are you studying? I'll throw mine in there too. Hi, Ryan. Great to meet you. Mechanical engineer, Norway, no doubt, hands down. Wow. Okay, awesome. We're getting a lot of people. Avery, thanks for joining us. Avery, where do you want to travel? Don't forget to throw that in there. Alyssa, love that you're coming with marketing. The Green Program is not just for engineers. We just happen to love engineers, but lots of different majors will come on our program. Australia or Japan, awesome. We'll talk about Japan. Paris, Mallory, thank you. Caitlin, environmental engineering, great to meet you. Also excited about New Zealand. Avery, New Zealand. I have never been to New Zealand and I want to go. Mongolia from Zach. Thank you for joining us. And also I'll come to Mongolia with you. Another Norway fan. New Zealand with Allison. Thanks, Alex. Lauren, evolutionary biology. Woo! Another Australia, Canada. Emily, that's probably the most realistic one. Thank you. I actually really like that. And Canada is awesome. We've got an Iceland fan from Abby. Annika, it's great to meet you. Peru, hello. Awesome. Can't wait to connect you with Lucy. Haley's here, mechanical engineering in Italy. Gabe in Brazil. My mom lived there for a couple of years. Gabe, you need to go. It's incredible. Greece, Julia, I've been there. Please go and eat all of the food that you possibly can. Sarah, New Zealand. Wow, there's so many incredible people. I want to keep running through the list, but right now it just seems like we've got a lot of people who are from engineering, biology, and are excited about really all of these places. I'm kind of upset that none of you chose Thailand, but I will ignore that and continue to move on. So here, I want to talk to you about the Green Program. How did it start? Where did this program come from? Well, Melissa Lee, right here in the center of this photo, this is on our Nepal program. Melissa and her friends back in 2009 were on spring break in Costa Rica. As you can imagine, they were at the beach, they were enjoying culture and travel as typical tourists do. Somehow on their trip, they found their way in front of the front door of a renewable wind facility. And they kind of knocked on the door, right? And we're looking around, this is pretty cool. And the industry professional walked up, opened the door, and was like, yo, what are you all doing? Now, mind you, this conversation's happening in Spanish. And basically, they were like, we want to tour your facility. And the industry professional was like, all right, we can make that happen. So they ended up walking around the entire facility, saw all the different technology, the challenges, and heard from industry professionals what is actually happening with sustainable development and renewable energy in Costa Rica. So from there, they were flying back home on the plane, and they were just like, that was wild. How did we travel to another country, eat incredible food, learn about culture, the challenges, and also be able to learn more about sustainable development? So that's where the Green Program was started. And so now, you can see a lot of the different countries that we've traveled to in the past on your screen. And that's sort of the spirit of our program, is that we were made by students and made for students so that you could capitalize and really enjoy your spring break, winter break, summer break, and do it all. Great, so Green Program. Another time, you have all been so great with the chat. I'm going to challenge you one more time. You are traveling to that country, you're thinking about studying abroad, and there are 5 words here at the top: education, travel, adventure, culture, impact. Which of those words is most important to you when you're considering studying abroad, wanting to travel to a new place? Is it just the education, the adventure? You just love traveling in general? You want to know about culture, impact? Go ahead and add that to the chat. I'm kind of curious if everyone is here about education, if everyone is here about impact. Tons of adventure and culture. Wow, this was so fast. You all know right away. Adventure, culture, back and forth. Wow, that's a win. I don't know who won between the two. I appreciate you all submitting your answers. Margaret, thanks for saying impact too. I think someone else did. This is exciting. I love that you all care about culture and adventure. And that's pretty much the things that we're looking at in sustainable development. The other main part about the Green Program that you can see here are some of the skills that we gain in practice. So because our programs are short term, we want to focus them that they can sort of feature these 21st century workplace skills. So I guess I'm going to turn it over again to Mallory and Lucy. Lucy, I'll start with you. When you look at this list of skills gained and practiced, are there any on here that sort of stick out to you of what you sort of gained on the Green Program?
Yeah, John, so definitely change and adaptation was the biggest one I took away from my trip to Peru. Just seeing how another culture deals with issues that are faced globally. And one particular story I have about change and adaptation is we were on a train ride to one of our facility tours with my group, and the train suddenly kind of stopped, and we're like, what's going on? Are we there? And Emily, our tour guide, was like, nope, there's been a landslide, so the train cannot cross the tracks it needs to get us to our final destination. And it was just kind of one of those things like, okay, here we go, get your backpack on, we're hiking the rest of the way. And we hiked the rest of the way to the facility tour, and next to like these women in their high heels going to business, and dads with the strollers and the babies, and just like hiking through the Peruvian jungle was kind of like a crazy experience. And it's just like, this is the pace of life, and how important change and adaptation is, not only in engineering, but also obviously in life through that story. So that's my
Totally. No, I love that, Lucy. And I'm glad that there was an adventure that was created from it. What about you, Mallory, when you're looking at this list?
Mine would definitely have to be diversity and cultural intelligence. Being somebody who is born and raised in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and then also going to Michigan Tech, which is in the UP, I really haven't had that much of I haven't learned that much about other cultures, and being able like, I think my thing was that I always get caught up in my studies and like I kind of create my own little world. But going to Iceland, it really like expanded my mind to like the world is this huge, ginormous place with so many different cultures, and it's so beautiful and there's so much to explore that like sometimes we kind of forget about that, like being caught up in college and like what we're doing in our day-to-day lives, that like being introduced to that once like in Iceland was incredible for me to just realize like how huge this world is.
Awesome. Oh, thanks for saying that, Mallory. That definitely is something that I experienced too, is getting outside of my bubble. Great. So you all who are on the call joining us and you're here to learn more about the green program, these are the things we're going to go over. Is each of the programs, we're going to talk about the different skills and all the different components that makes us unique. If you have questions, throw them into the chat and we will answer all of them at the end. I promise, all of them. So don't feel bad about asking any question. Every question is great. Excited to engage. Cool. Lucy, do you want to tell us a little bit about the mission statement here?
Yeah, absolutely. So the green program mission statement, I'm actually going to read it out loud, read along, is to educate and empower future sustainability leaders through innovative models of experiential education, travel, and adventure. So that's a pretty powerful statement, and not just because it has a lot of exciting words in it. It's because pretty much every single word is true to this program. I can say, like, without a doubt, if any of you attend, you will leave feeling definitely empowered, more educated, and honestly believing more in the power of sustainability across the world. So
awesome. Thanks, Lucy. And I'm glad that we have time to ask you about Peru and hear about all of this mission statement on that program. I'm excited to hear more.
Yes. So then, as well as like having like this amazing mission statement, you know, we talked about the education involved in it. And the Green Program's educational model is incredible. One of the things that really enticed me to it was that it's short term. I know like something that I really was worried about was missing school or leaving for a semester to study abroad. And I don't know if any of you guys, you know, in engineering or having classes that fall, spring, it can be really intimidating because then, oh, I might have to go for another year of school if I want to study abroad, or I might have to take summer classes, and that can sometimes cost a lot of money or be really stressful. So having the green program have this like 10-day experience that's also super accessible, being on breaks, was something that really enticed me to like joining the green program for their study abroad. And the second part that was incredible to me was that it was super career focused. You know, I got to do a capstone project that gave me project experience that like really helped me build my resume, and we got to go on industry tours. So like, you know, you can do that in the US, but also seeing them in other countries is like huge, because being in you could always like move to other countries after getting your degree. So it was incredible to see that as well. And we will also talk about the long-term impact later on with the educational model as well.
Thanks, Mallory. Excited. Cool. So let me start talking about our first program. Unfortunately, Mallory and Lucy haven't gone to Nepal yet, but we have plenty of alumni who have, if you want me to connect you to them. Basically, the Nepal program is focused on microgrid systems for rural development. So what does that look like? So you're actually designing and implementing your own off-grid system. You can see Sabrina there in the middle of that photo. They actually designed and implemented that entire system from scratch. So basically, we're working with a bunch of different stakeholders. As you all know, stakeholder management's important. So at the university side, you're taking classes. You're actually learning from incredible professors in all of our programs. But one of the professors actually wrote Nepal's energy policy, right? So these are really incredible people that are going to teach you about the background of Nepal, how it's the country number 2, second highest potential for hydropower in the world. But, you know, their problems with energy infrastructure, you know, is the real source of what's happening there as Nepal is trying to develop. So on this program, we want you to learn about energy infrastructure, especially after that earthquake back in 2015 that knocked out 30% of their infrastructure. How is Nepal developing? So in the School of Development Studies, you'll be studying with those professors, like I had mentioned, about the Nepal way of developing. And then with an organization called Give Power, look them up if you don't know them. They're doing incredible things. You're going to design and implement the entire solar grid, microgrid system for this village, which helps them bring water up to the village. With all of our programs, we have culture and adventure. The reason why this one is really unique in its culture is that you're actually completing a homestay. So while you install the microgrid system, you'll be staying with a host family. That was exactly how I traveled in Thailand. And there's just something so humbling and fun about living with a family and seeing the day-to-day life of what it looks like. So I'm happy to connect you with an alumni. Feel free to throw and drop any questions you have about that program in the chat. But yeah, more exciting than I talk about Nepal is Lucy. We are anticipating all the things about Peru. Tell us about the program, break it down, blow our minds.
Yes. So I traveled to Cusco, Peru, spring break of my freshman year here at Tech. And to be honest, I wasn't sure I could give you a solid definition of what water resource management was at that time. But now it's something that I'm kind of basing my whole career around and education around. So that just kind of speaks to the power of this trip for me. Yeah, so to jump right in, I'm going to talk about three components: the education, the industrial visits, and the adventure, and then weave in some of the other focuses of the green program through these stories. So to start with the classroom education, this is more of the formal education, but I can tell you it's much more involved than what you see in your typical university setting. So that guy in the green shirt right there in the middle picture, his name's Dr. Oscar Ortega, and he was my professor when I was there. He's one of the smartest men I've ever met in my life. He blends the societal, cultural, historical features of a problem and then comes up with that to engineer a solution. So that's one of the most important things I've learned from him. So not only was he super smart, but super kind. We still keep in touch today. I'm friends with him on Facebook. So you really just get those connections even in kind of a more formal classroom setting. Next, I'm going to talk about the industrial visit. So on the Peru trip, I feel like we went to a ton of industrial sites. The one that stuck out to me was we visited the Machu Picchu hydroelectric facility, which, yeah, I didn't even know that existed either, but it does, and it's amazing. And that's just seeing like firsthand how the environment is being used to produce energy for the people there. So that's something that I think we don't think of a lot of times as engineers in the United States, of just kind of getting more comfortable with like building things where nothing exists instead of working into the environment with how can this help us. So other site visits included the sacred grounds of Tipon, which is again, the middle picture there. So I loved the trip because every industrial site was kind of balanced with a cultural component too. So all technical things that you learned. There was also this super connecting thing, bringing you in with the country and the people. So that was incredible. And then talking a little bit about kind of the top picture and some more of the adventure that I know a lot of you guys mentioned you were excited about. Oh my gosh, zip lining, whitewater rafting, rock climbing, hiking, you name it. I feel like we did it there. And, you know, that just really brought me close with my team that I was traveling with. And the green program is also awesome because you're meeting up, like you meet them at the airport and you're coming, where are you from? Like they're from Clemson University, they're from like Michigan, they're from Washington, California. So immediately you have this family that lives across the nation. And everyone's coming into it with different experiences, but you're all ready to buckle down. So then sharing these kind of, you know, exciting adventures like whitewater rafting with them kind of brings you close and connects you with your common goal of like, we're here to learn. So yeah, so the water resource management program and sustainable practices, of course, you know, I gained 2 credits from it. And, you know, I couldn't be more happy with the education I gained out of it, but it's more of like the cultural things I'll take away from the experiences that I had there. So.
Lucy, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if you have questions about the Peru program, feel free to throw them in the chat. And also, Lucy is incredibly exciting to just hang out with one-on-one, and we'll tell you even more stories than what you just heard then. Great, Mallory, we just heard about Iceland, we just heard about Peru, and now I'm excited to also hear about your experience in Iceland. Can you tell us a little bit more about this program?
Definitely. So when I went to Iceland, we studied at Reykjavik University, which is in the first picture. and we studied renewable energy and innovation and sustainability. And like the two classes that we like hit on the most were like hydropower and geothermal. And it was so incredible because not only did we get to like learn about that at Reykjavik University, but then we got to go on industrial visits and we got to see the hydropower plant and the geothermal plant. And I think that's something that we miss a lot of times, like in classrooms at college, is just that disconnect of, oh, I'm learning this, but like, why? Or, you know, we're learning all these equations, and it's like, how does that actually pertain to what I want to do with my future? And like being at Reykjavik University, learning about hydropower, which I had no idea about, honestly, before I went there, and then going to the plant and seeing it live, I was like, wow, like if we actually take these classes, we can make a difference in the world. And it's crazy to see how we can actually make a difference. But aside from the classes, we also like did a capstone project, and that was super beneficial to me, just like being able to work on a project with a team, get that on my resume. It was huge when speaking to companies at career fair and during job interviews, which I will also talk about later. But aside from just education, one of my favorite parts about Iceland was the adventures that we got to go on. Just a few of them that I got to do was like super jeeping. We got to go see waterfalls and literally walk underneath them. And like there was like frozen ice under the beautiful waterfall, like falling right next to us. And then we got to go see like geysers. And I don't know about you guys, but I literally planned my day around what I'm eating next. And we got to go to this incredible little restaurant that not only was a restaurant, but it grew tomatoes, and there was these bees like flying around like pollinating all of the tomato plants, and there was just like hundreds of them. And then there's the tiny little restaurant, and everything on the menu was tomato based. And they made the most incredible tomato soup I've ever had in my entire life. And every time I eat tomato soup now, I compare it to that. And I literally want to go back to Iceland just to eat that tomato soup. But yeah, that was just a couple of the adventures that I went on and the educational opportunities from Iceland. But it was literally one of the most impactful experiences I've ever had on my education and just culture in general.
Love it. Thanks, Mallory. Iceland, renewable energy, innovation, and sustainability, and tomato soup. I feel like we should change the title of the course. Cool. The last one, I know that a couple of you were excited about the Japan program. Japan's really interesting because we do disaster mitigation and look at this transition from nuclear to renewable. So even if you're not a nuclear engineer, most people who go in this program are not, but you're really excited about what does it look like for society, a city, a country to shift towards renewable energy? How does that actually happen with technology, policy, all of that? And on top of it, just like understanding like nuclear energy is awesome. I'm sure a lot of you have studied that, and I'm sure that a lot of you like realize the importance of how it has helped us get to where we are. But also like with the incredible technology came this really awful disaster that happened in Fukushima back in 2011. So if you're not familiar, earthquake, tsunami, nuclear meltdown. Not a good sequence of events. But what it's really spoke to is you engineers, environmental policy, biology students, marketing, everyone here has a responsibility to do a really good job in designing a system in the worst case emergencies, right? And basically, we're going on this program to learn about how do you actually mitigate a disaster? How do you transition towards 100% renewable energy, which is Fukushima's goal by 2040? And we'll take classes about it at the local university. We'll go and meet with these nuclear engineers and talk to them like, hey, what's going on? Like, what are your thoughts now about nuclear energy now that everyone has this social stigma against that? And how do you actually transition to 100% renewable energy in a span of just like 30 years? That's ridiculous. I'm like ready for the United States to say that that's going to be the next thing we do tomorrow. But yeah, basically this whole transition, if you want to be someone who works in policy, if you're excited about disaster mitigation, if you want to learn about culture, eat incredible food. I mean, the tomato soup in Iceland is definitely a tough one to beat, but I've been to Japan and I will tell you that you will have some of the most incredible food in your life. We'll visit Tokyo, a lot of ancient cities. We'll go hiking as well in the Japanese Alps. and do a lot of like other cross-cultural activities. So yeah, this one's really great for lots of students from different backgrounds. You can see there in that middle picture, we're actually standing underneath the core of a nuclear reactor. You can't do that. You literally can't unless it's being decommissioned, which is the case in Japan. So it is safe to go there now with radiation. But I really appreciate all the students who are excited to learn about communities really having all of this resilience, and how are they building resilience, and how are they getting back to communities. It's just a really dynamic program. Great. We talked about the program. Mallory already mentioned her capstone project. Lucy's got one too. We do this on every program. And the reason why is we want all of you here on this call who are coming from different backgrounds. All of you mechanical engineers don't all care about the same thing. Everyone who's a civil, biomedical engineer, you don't care about the same thing. There are different things that bring you passion and skills and things that you want to engage in. So we challenge you in an interdisciplinary cohort to come together, pick a sustainability challenge, anything in the world, and you're actually going to come up with a business solution from scratch. You're going to create this real world solution that you're going to present on the final day to all of your professors and also your cohort. And it's going to be a bit of dreaming. So anyone who like enjoys dreaming about potential possibilities, and a bit of reality, and mixing them together. I know that sounds kind of odd, and I know that it sounds exciting, but maybe it'd be better to hear a little bit about what that actually looks like. So Mallory, you were just talking about it. Can you tell us about your capstone project, and yeah, how did you work on it? What was the impact for you?
Definitely. So as John just mentioned, we all don't care about the same things. And I know, like, for me, like, I didn't even realize that, like, as a biomedical engineer, that sustainability could be worked into my major. So, like, yeah, I wanted to learn about sustainability because it's something that we do in our everyday lives, and we should be aware of it. But with the capstone project, it really challenged me to like see how I could work that into my major, as well as work with my team members who are all different majors than me. We had an environmental engineer, we had a business major, and we all worked together to come up with this solution that related to each of our majors and like still was all about sustainability. So it was incredible, especially well, actually, I'll go into like what my project was. I did carbon capture, and we did it based on hydrogels, which is like a biomedical application, which I then tailored towards. I was going to go for my master's degree here at Tech, and I was going to tailor my thesis towards carbon capture and using it with my degree. And then I actually, with the capstone project experience on my resume, received an internship and a full-time job now. So I'm not going for my master's anymore. But it was super like crazy how much it impacted and benefited me going through this incredible project with a team, learning about sustainability, relating to other companies about it, and then receiving a job just from doing this project with the Green Program. And it also helped with my public speaking a lot because we had to get up in front of our professors and like everybody that was there with you at the Green Program and present this, like, as John said, like kind of dream problem that people are like, is that really, like, can you actually do that? And then have everybody question you about that dream problem. You're like, oh yes, we can do it this way. But yeah, it was extremely beneficial for me, especially like having a full-time job now because of it.
Yeah, I mean, Mallory, it's dreaming. You're entrepreneurial. You have to like problem solve when people are analyzing your solutions. So I love that. I love that it helped to refine it, and that's a cool story. Thanks for sharing it. What about you, Lucy? What was your capstone project about? I'm curious.
Yeah, so mine was definitely a dream. It stemmed from our problem targeted was the Huatanay River that runs straight through the middle of Cusco as a city. And it kind of divides it into a north and south side. And we went on a visit to the river, and we're walking along, and it's just a dumping ground. Like, these people don't really know what a clean river looks like. So they grow up in the city and they just see it as like, this is where our trash goes. And like, that's where it went. And then another super powerful visual was there was a slaughterhouse on the edge of the river, and we were walking by, and our professor's like, this is the slaughterhouse. Look at that pipe. And like the pipe was going directly into the river, and there was just like clearly animal blood like draining into the river. And it was just kind of one of those things like, wow, like you see it in like videos of like, we need to do something, but this was like actually happening here. And I think for me, that was the moment where it's like, most people don't, or the people that are living here don't understand what a huge issue this is and how negatively it's impacting their lives. And if we can bring in anything to change that, we want to. So I mentioned before that the river split the city kind of into a north and south side. The north side is the populated side. That's where the mall is. That's where, you go shopping and people live in high rises. And then the south side is less populated, much more poverty, little to no infrastructure on that side. So another one of our site visits was to the wastewater treatment plant on the north side of the river. And my team asked about, is there any wastewater treatment plant for the south side? Is their wastewater piped over here? And they said, nope, they have a holding tank dug in the ground, 100 odd years ago. And there's no upkeep on it. So it's kind of like, wow, that's powerful, because you see this wastewater treatment plant where all the wastewater goes, and then their pipe empties clean water into the river that we just saw a pipe of animal blood going into the river as well. So it's like, we want to create more of a holistic solution. So our design solution was to implement a wastewater treatment plant on the south side of the city. So obviously that's a huge endeavor. And I think one thing that really the Green Program brings out is that interdisciplinary teamwork. Like, we couldn't have done it without Tia on our team, was a business major, and she did all the budgeting for it if this were to happen. So that was really exciting to see to come together. And another thing is just understanding how critical it is to kind of understand a problem from all angles, and how putting a wastewater treatment plant in on the south side kind of shows those people like, you're valued, you're a part of the city, and it can bring out some of the societal difficulties that Cusco is experiencing. So kind of the more holistic view was really powerful for me in my capstone project.
Thanks, Lucy. I appreciate you talking about that local problem right there and how you sort of addressed it. Great. For everyone who's also listening, I'm kind of curious. There's obviously some, like Mallory had mentioned carbon capture, Lucy had mentioned a polluted river. If you wouldn't mind, I'm kind of curious about some of your thoughts of what are the pressing issues in sustainable development that really keep you awake at night, that like you are curious about. You don't have to come up with a solution right now, but if you can write in the chat, I'm kind of curious still of like, for people on this call, what is it that you're excited about learning more about, things that still frustrate you that exist in the world? Maybe you as an engineer, someone who does marketing, biology, what are the things that you really want to work towards? Seeing alternatives to plastic waste, pollution, totally. Developing bioremediation. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Zach. Another Zach with lack of efficiency. Oh, sorry. And it's flying through. This is great. I love how fast this chat is going. Obviously, you all really do care, and it sounds like you're all passionate. Lack of efficiency of alternative energies. That's awesome, Zach. I also am frustrated by that awesomely. Another plastic ones, looking at waste, food waste, agricultural sustainability. Michelle, we talk a lot about agricultural sustainability in Peru as well. Great. Yeah, thanks everyone for writing down those things. And I'm glad that you're frustrated. I'm glad that you feel the weight of that, because that really does drive your passion to want to come up with a solution. So this is a perfect opportunity for you to do so. It's just to flex those muscles. Well, great. Here, we talked a little bit about adventure and culture. For me personally, when I went abroad, it was very expanding for my comfort zone, and it did foster a lot of personal growth. But yeah, I guess, Mallory, I'm kind of curious, when you think about your program, it was only 8 to 10 days. And I know a lot of people on this call are like, how much can that really impact you? For you, like, what did personal growth and how did you expand your comfort zone on the Green Program in such a short time?
Yeah, John, I definitely expanded my comfort zone. I actually went to Iceland a day early, so I wasn't even with a group or like traveling with somebody. And I don't know about you guys, but I was very nervous to travel alone. Like I was like, oh, I want a friend to come with me, or, I like going a day early. Like I kind of wanted to see Iceland on my own, but also like that's kind of scary to go in alone. But it really expanded my comfort zone because when I went by myself, it gave me kind of like that sense of independence just for a little bit. And then once I met up with the green program and everybody there, like it was just this huge cohort of amazing people all wanting to do the same thing, all focused on making the world a better place. And I got to meet incredible people, and I'm still friends with so many of the people that I met on my program today. And I feel like I wouldn't have been able to do that if maybe I would have went with like a group of my own friends or with a partner, just because I wouldn't have gotten out of my comfort zone to, just go like with the girl that I sat next to on the bus the first day, be like, hi, I'm Mallory. You want to like hang out and like walk around Iceland together? But yeah, definitely expanded my comfort zone and just reaching out to people, meeting new people, and traveling on my own for the first time.
Yeah, that's cool, Mallory. I know that the first international flight that I took, I was very nervous. And then after that, I was like, oh, this is easy. I'm glad I did that. What about you, Lucy? Did you find yourself on the Peru program experiencing similar, like pushing yourself outside your comfort zone?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I was pretty intimidated by, I was a freshman in college, so I was really, young, and I felt I didn't know enough to be on a program like this. I was undereducated or underexperienced, and I was intimidated by some of the industry professionals or the professors of, I don't really belong here. But the Peru trip couldn't have like turn that on its head more. At the end of the day, like everyone I worked with really reminded me that engineering and like what draws me towards like my major and my interests is, at the end of the day, it's just people helping people. So if you can bring anything to the table, whether that's just showing up with a smile and a positive attitude, ready to learn and kind of offer your perspective on things, that's valuable. Even if you don't think that you have the education or the background that you might like to, this is how you're going to get it. So that was kind of how I expanded my comfort zone, and kind of what I'm still working on today of how that brings me forward.
Nah, Lucy, that makes me so pumped. Yeah, showing up and saying, hey, I'm here and I want to learn is one of the most incredible things you can do. Is just be someone who listens and learns. A lot of people will talk to me and be like, John, I don't know what I could offer to this group. I don't know a ton about sustainability. I'm not like, a professional in these ways. And I'm just like, no, like this is all about bringing together sustainability leaders and empowering them. And people often walk away with a similar sort of impression. So I'm so glad that you experienced that, Lucy. That's great. Cool. Let's talk about COVID and what's going on with travel this year. So basically, the Green program is monitoring all of the different areas that we travel to. And we're looking at it with the CDC, WHO, DOS. We're talking to our local guides there. Basically, in a lot of these destinations, it's safer to be there than in the United States, right? But alas, like the future is unknown, as we all experience. And right now we all need to be flexible. So what is the Green program doing about it? Well, one thing to mention that is always true about our applications that I think people don't necessarily recognize is they're non-binding. They're free, non-binding. If you apply to the program in the spring and you decide that you want to switch to December of 2021, easy to do that. There's no problem with that. Even if you apply to the Peru program and you're like, hey, actually, after talking to you, John, I think Iceland might be a better fit for my professional goals. I'll say, great. Like we accepted you because we believe in your ability to potentially grow into a sustainability leader. And we want to see you accomplish that. So yeah, if you're applying, don't feel like that is something that is holding you back. It's not going to bind you to that program. So what happens if your program gets postponed? You will have other travel options. Basically, we're trying to give you all the different options just in case, even in December, like right now in December and January, the programs will be postponed. And that is because it's just not safe to travel there. So what options do those people have? What options would you have if your program was postponed? Well, you could always transfer to a future program. That's what a lot of people are doing. Some people are saying, John, I cannot have coronavirus and the pandemic put a hold on my academic and personal development. Please give me something tomorrow, right? And so that's why we created the Learn Now, Travel Later course. And we've won some awards for it now, where you take your classes online and all of the courses. So you're with your professors and you're studying the material. So you would do that during your course. And so right now we're going to do that December to January. And then you can travel later. So you'll complete all the industry visits, cultural competency, and your capstone project in person when it is safe over the summertime. So yeah, basically that's one option for you. You can also take a couple online classes, which I'll talk about in a second. And you can also receive a full program credit on a future program as well. So yeah, basically we're giving you every possible opportunity to get you on a program. We know that this is what is impactful for all of the students, and we're excited for it to impact you. The two different models that I just mentioned, Learn Now, Travel Later, here's just some details about it. If you're interested, the best way is just to talk to me about it. I love just explaining and seeing if this might be the right option for you, especially if you're looking for internships and jobs and you just are like, I need to get something on my resume. I want to talk about this. This might be a good option for you. This is one of the examples of another online course that we've developed, like the Ethics of Sustainable Development. It's taught by one of the professors at Kathmandu University, Dr. Sagar. Incredible. It's happening right now, actually, or at 8 o'clock tonight. And it is an opportunity for you over 2 weeks to take this class, and you complete a mini capstone as well. And you get a certificate. It kind of is this weird, odd certificate that takes a lot of like real-time data of jobs and what are being posted and what your certificate qualifies for you, and it just helps you with that sort of understanding your skills and where you should be applying and what jobs are available for you. But yeah, this entire course is all online. So far, the discussions have been incredible, and yeah, it can connect you to an alumni of this as well if you're interested in it. We actually just opened up one today, and it's actually taught by Professor Oscar that Lucy was talking about, and it's about indigenous knowledge and how it contributes to sustainability in Peru. And so I think a lot of times the question surrounding, are we valuing indigenous knowledge, right? And then also who has the power to use that and really like benefit from utilizing indigenous knowledge. So those are a lot of the topics that we're sort of jumping into as well. And that also will be a 2-week program. So yeah, the dates for it are all online on our website in the application. But here's our impact. A lot of people will talk about the green program. We just won an award last Friday for being the top sustainability program, sort of adapting to COVID most recently with this organization called PI and Pioneer. And so we're excited about that, but awards mean nothing. The reviews and what people's experiences mean everything to us. And it's great to read these things that people are saying that it's an unparalleled experience, but I guess at the end of the day, why does it matter? What's our long-term impact? So yeah, Lucy, I guess I'll throw this over to you, talking about how this course impacted you long-term.
Let me unmute myself there. I almost forgot. Yeah, so you can read the statistic here, but I think a big thing with us as, a lot of us are engineering majors, but even those who aren't, in universities, especially in the United States, sustainability is such a buzzword. I know it's thrown out in almost every class I take. And I think going on a trip like this, having this experience just really puts meaning behind that word, and it can really shift what you want to do with your knowledge, with your experience, with your education, with your career, in order to like make the biggest difference that you can. Because like in the chat earlier, we all mentioned something that we're frustrated with, and I know that's where passion comes from. So it's great to see that everyone has that in them. Carry that through your education, the rest of your college experience, and then definitely onto your professionalism. And I think this trip can do that in 8 to 10 days, like hypercharge it, and it can push your drive so much further, and it can help you in so many ways to kind of gain meaning in work. So
thanks, Lucy.
Yeah, and as well as like being super impactful, I know Lucy kind of hit on it, but like one of the other statistics for the green program is that 4 out of 5 of the green program alumni say that employers have asked about their experience during a job interview. And I can say that from personal experience. As soon as I put that on my resume, I didn't even go to Iceland yet. And I put it on my resume. I was like, on your resume where you might put like graduating in 2021 or 2022, I put Reykjavik University 2020. And I went to the 2019 career fair and I walked up to Ecolab and I just started talking to them. I was like, this is a great talking point because all industries should care about sustainability and like having sustainable practices. So I walked up to them and I was like, I am very interested in sustainability, so much so that I'm going out of my way to go on this trip and learn more about it. And I think that could really like benefit, like I could bring that to your company in an internship. And that's actually like how I got my internship and my interview. And during my interview, I talked about it again. I got my internship. And like I mentioned earlier, I actually had an interview during my internship for like a full-time offer. And that's one of the things that they talked about the entire time with me was like sustainability and my experience with Iceland. So when it's on your resume, like companies want to ask you about that. And then you have this incredible capstone project that you come up with. And it literally gives you that project experience that maybe you couldn't have. I know, like for me, I really struggled getting an internship. And then I was coming up on my junior year and I was like, man, how am I going to get an internship or a job if I have no experience? And these companies are asking me to say I have experience, but nobody will give me experience. So that's one of the big things, like why I went on the green program, is because I wanted to like make my experience so that I could get another internship and further my career.
Awesome. I'm so pumped you're employed. This is like so exciting. And I can't believe the green program helped to do that. That's wild. But Mallory, you are incredible. And I'm glad that all the people saw that as well. And the green program was just able to sort of empower you to be yourself. These are some of the people in our alumni network that are working at these incredible companies. It's not just the fancy titles of NASA, Tesla, Nike, and the sustainability department. Like our alumni are working everywhere. There's over 3,200 of them. I want you all to get connected to them. And that is something that's really exciting about the Green Program's alumni network. It's just that you're able to get connected to these sustainability leaders like Mallory and Lucy, and these people that have come before you 10 years and where they are now. So yeah, I'm excited for all of you to connect and really just be able to empower each other and accelerate each other's career in the future. So you're with the Green Program for life. Who's in your cohort? We talked about a lot of the students from MTU, but there are over 400 different universities, 70 different countries. I was just talking to people from Australia and the UAE that have just signed up for the Iceland program. It's undergraduate students, graduate students, every major. Please don't assume that this is just for engineers. Mallory, you're a biomedical engineer. You had no idea how sustainability was incorporated. Thank you for discovering that on the Green Program. I'm so glad that that impacted you in that way. And I know for the other students that are on this call and people that are listening, like come from any major, you've got this. We're excited to have you and what you're bringing to the table. All of the classes and coursework you'll be able to complete, even if you don't know anything about it. Recent grads and young professionals come on our programs. A lot of people who are like, hey, I want to travel and I don't want to just be a tourist. I want to also learn about sustainable development, might as well get some credit. But at the end of the day, like I really care about these things and learning about the more local, least like understood topics of culture and renewable energy sustainability. So you'll get a couple young professionals and recent grads in your programs. We've got ambassadors like Mallory and Lucy at lots of different universities that are just spreading the news about sustainability. Thank you for volunteering your time. I really appreciate it. Advocates as well are able to do that. And so if you're interested in the advocacy program, you can always shoot me an email and ask me questions about it. And I mentioned the alumni that are in our network. TGP at Michigan Tech. Boom, 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 boom. What does this mean? Yeah, there have been over 25 students that have traveled with us from MTU. These are a bunch of different majors of who has come with us. If you're seeking credit, you'll want to reach out to study abroad to Vienna. Afterwards, you might also just work with the transfer office, and that might be helpful for you. I know that CEE and Julia Ross are incredible. And if you want to go to Peru or Iceland, and that's your major, reach out to her. Incredible. The ME students, you can receive free elective credit. I know that your course is really strict, and I'm glad that it is, that you're learning incredible things. But we would love to have you on the program as well. Other students, once you get accepted, just reach out to your advisor with the syllabus and I can help you with that process. Great. Here's the QR code. Here's the apply. I know some of you are sitting there and just excited and maybe thinking, when would I want to apply? Just do it. get the application, and just like enjoy it. We're looking for sustainability leaders, and that's the number one thing I would focus on encouraging you to do. But yeah, we're going to spend the remainder of our time just answering questions. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to throw them in the chat. I also welcome you to unmute yourself and feel free to ask Mallory or Lucy questions. You can ask me questions, but I'm not as exciting. While you're looking at the application and the QR code, I'll also throw this thoughtful quote up here to inspire you. But yeah, think about some questions, get ready to ask them. But I'll end this with this. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Thank you for everyone being on this call, for wanting to be part of this small group of thoughtful, committed citizens. And if you doubt your ability to change the world, Margaret Mead knows better. And please just like trust yourself and your ability to really impact the world with sustainability. Speaking of, what questions do people have? Anything in the chat? Unmute yourself. Please don't leave the awkward silence forever. Go ahead and jump in and ask a question.
So I think one of the biggest questions that should be mentioned is, for the program fee, what are we receiving? What is and isn't covered, such as travel expenses, things of that sort?
Zach. Yeah, Mallory and Lucy, what was it that you had to pay outside of the program fee, and what was sort of in the program fee for you?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Mallory, please.
Okay. So I know if you go on there, you can see how much each program costs. And I'm pretty sure mine was around $4,000, and it included literally everything except for the plane ticket. But if you're looking at the right times, I got my plane ticket round trip for $300 to Iceland. It was like, and for me, that was super cheap because it was, round trip to Iceland. But I know like having that large of a cost can seem like that might be too much. But what I did is I just reached out to my family members and I said, hey, I want to go on this incredible like study abroad experience. Is there any way like you guys would want to, like, for my Christmas present, instead of like buying me a present, like pitch in on that for like my Christmas present? Or I know a lot of people have done GoFundMes, and I've heard a couple other professors that I have talked about in classes too. Like they've said that if you go to their departments, sometimes like they can help you with that. So that's something like that. I know, I think Michigan Tech, if you go to your department and talk to them about that, they might have extra funding for that.
Yeah, just to add on to that real quick, any travel abroad scholarship that you can apply for through Michigan Tech, you can use this if that's what you choose. I know it's just, some of those scholarships that's literally like use this money to go travel and get an education abroad. So those are kind of helpful resources too that you would want to probably work through the study abroad office with to get connected with more of those resources.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Zach. And I can always send you the full list of everything included as well. Other questions? I see everyone else who is on the call. There are plenty of you, and you probably have some questions, and someone else is thinking it as well. Yeah, what else are you thinking about? What do you want to know more about?
There are a few good ones in the chat.
Oh, I didn't even think to look up there. My computer like froze a tiny bit. Alex, would you mind saying one of the questions in the chat that you saw?
The first one that I see is, can you go on more than one trip?
Mallory and Lucy have not yet, but yes, you can go on more than one trip. I'm going to stop sharing and see if I can see the chat now. Thanks for that, Zach. Yeah, you can go on lots of different programs. Is there a possibility of previous programs being offered? Alyssa, I saw you ask that. No, those other destinations, we're no longer traveling to them, but if they do become available and we're like consistently creating new programs, yeah, all of the accepted students and alumni find out about it first. How fast do trips normally fill up? Another great question. So they do fill on a first come, first serve basis. The Iceland May program, that one fills up the fastest. It's just the one that works out with a lot of people's schedules. With other courses, they all fill at different speeds. A lot of the people who signed up for the Japan program last summer, when that one got canceled, they all switched into the Japan program for this summer. So that one's already over halfway full.
I will also add in onto the can you go on another trip? One thing about the green program is if you recommend other people to go on trips, I don't know, John, if you want to comment on this, if this
Yeah.
is still happening, but I know for me, it was if you recommended other people and then they decided to come as well, you got like so much of a percentage off if you got so many people to also join the green program. So like say like you wanted to go on another trip, but it was like a bigger cost. Like if you entice more people to go on the green program, you can cut your cost down for your second trip.
Yeah, thanks, Mallory. I'll throw into the chat the link for the TGP Advocate program. And basically, that is what you're talking about, where if you just talk about the green program and let people know about it, because we're only a team of 5 people, we just can't tell everyone. So you have friends, high school, anyone who's over the age of 18 can come on the program. Yeah, basically, if you look at this, you'll see more about how you can become an advocate. And once 5 people sign up, half of your program is paid for and kind of offset by those people enrolling. And then after that, it's prorated. So 60%, 70, 80, 90, and then 100% if you go. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just like, thank you for telling other people about the program. We are just like not able to do so. So I appreciate that. But yeah, feel free to ask me questions about the advocate program. A lot of students who sign up who are looking for funding and scholarships end up finding them, at the right place at the right time. And so sometimes that can take 6 months, but it definitely is a commitment, to want to invest in yourself rather than like gifts and other things. I liked how that was something that you worked on too, Mallory. Great. I know it's 7 o'clock. I know a bunch of you have other things to do. So thanks for joining us. If you want to kick back and ask a couple more questions, we'll hang around for a couple minutes. Aha, not all of you have jumped off. What questions do you have? And Zach, if you have all of the questions, everyone is thinking about it. I see one from Tessa. Tessa, thanks for asking a question. What's the earliest we can travel due to COVID? Great question. So the ones that we are enrolling for right now, Tessa, kind of how our philosophy is working is you can sign up for a Learn Now, Travel Later course if you want to take those classes in December and January. So you would just complete the online classes then, and then you would travel in the summertime in May or August. If you wanted to enroll in the March program dates as well, you can feel free to do that. But again, with the future, nothing is certain. We just don't know what the future holds, but people are still enrolling and excited to travel when possible. And a lot of people feel comfortable with the other opportunities of what you can actually do if your program's postponed. People will sign up for March, and then, if it gets postponed, they'll switch into the May programs, August. And, I want to get you all to Iceland, Japan, Peru, and Nepal tomorrow. But we all have to be flexible and understanding. And so that's why we've created all of these flexible options for you moving forward. But good question. Tessa, I'm excited to see your application. Writing your name down now, because I can tell you're excited. Other questions? What else are people curious about?
I have another one while the ambassadors are still here. So on your trips, how much free time do you think you got in between all the activities and things? And then also, how much time did you have for sleep? Since I know sometimes I've been in and seen programs where they keep you so busy that sleep is kind of a secondary concern.
It's a good question. Lucy, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think some of your worry is warranted. I think the green program keeps you busy, but you only have 8 to 10 days to fit your experience in. I don't think I was ever, not once, like, wow, I really don't want to do this right now. Because it's like, wow, I really don't want to go like whitewater rafting right now, So I think the experiences that you're exposed to, you're just so excited about them. You're not really thinking about how busy you are. You do have free time, though. You do. They work it in. You get to, I know in Peru, it was like, meet at this spot at this time. Until then, you can go around to the different markets. If you want to take a nap, you can take a nap. So there is free time worked in, but I will say, like, you should be prepared that it is fast paced and it is exciting. So that's what I have. I don't know if Mallory has anything to add.
Yes, I can piggyback off of that. we definitely had a lot of like free time, more like at night. Like, yeah, we could work on our capstone project, or, you know, you guys can go hang out and like play a game, or like we were literally watching like the Icelandic, I don't even remember what sport it was, but it was one of the Icelandic sports. We were all watching it because we were at like a base camp called Midgard, and like there was other people staying there with us. So we were all watching it, and they were like all super excited, going, yeah, like cheering for their teams. And like, so there was a lot of like, I would say, free time to like experience like kind of their culture. And we also got to like Lucy said, walk around Reykjavik and like go to little shops. And I literally bought some French fries at this random little store in Reykjavik. Of course, I got French fries in Iceland, but but yeah, we had a lot of free time, but also we're kept busy like with the activities. So it's basically anything that you'd want to do in your free time, plus you get free time to experience the culture.
And Mallory, do you feel like you got enough sleep?
I actually feel like I did get enough sleep, because every time we were on a car ride somewhere for like an hour, I just pass out on the bus.
Yeah, no, Zach, that's a great question. We're not trying to keep you awake all night, but definitely opting in of how much you want to work on your capstone project. That's something that we is kind of a little bit optional of how much you dive into it. And yeah, for a lot of students, their comments when they come back from the program, the negative feedback is, I wish we had more time to work on our capstone project. And that's the weakness of a short-term program, is that you only have so much time to complete everything. And yeah, you're paying us money, and we're going to plan everything out for you so you can be a sponge and get a lot done and just accept and you be excited about it all. But yeah, it's an intense program, and it will grow you for sure. Great. Maybe two other questions. I don't want to keep you all forever. We could hang out and just not sleep, but I imagine y'all have classes and homework. Alex, I saw you unmute your mic a couple times. You have a question?
Yeah, how was the language barrier when you went to different places?
Great question. Lucy, what was it like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I traveled to Peru, so the native language there is Spanish. And I took Spanish in high school, so I was kind of confident going in that I could like make my way through, like even if I wasn't with the group leader. But the group leaders, or at least in my experience, she lived in Peru, so you could count on them for anything. Like you did not have to know a single word. We were challenged to try, even if you didn't, which was a fun part of the program. But the language barrier is only a big a problem as kind of you make it. So you can have just the same experience as everyone else, even if you're not comfortable speaking the language or understanding or reading it. But I would definitely encourage getting some background knowledge before you go on your trip, depending where you go.
I was one of the ones that didn't do background research and get the knowledge on like the languages. So when I went to Iceland, I knew that they spoke English quite often, but I didn't realize how much like Icelandic language there was. And so when I got there a day early by myself, it was a little bit difficult because like I got on the bus, and the bus driver was speaking to me, and I was like, I don't know how to pronounce this word. And I was like pointing at my maps, and like there was no internet, but I still got my maps to work, and I was showing him, I was like, I need to go to this hotel. Can you drive me? But like they actually like, it was pretty easy with the language barrier there because a lot of them do speak English as well as Icelandic. And then like Lucy said, the guides are incredible. They would teach us different Icelandic words, and like on the bus when we were counting like everybody, we had to learn the Icelandic like counting. So we'd all be shouting like these crazy Icelandic numbers, and it was like funny because some of them, I think one of them was like fork or something like that. So like we would all like laugh because, you know, we're learning this new language. So they like definitely like decreased the like scariness of that language barrier for sure. Like there was nothing to worry about.
Yeah, and all of your classes will be in English for sure. And yeah, we want you to engage with a place that has a different language for sure. Cool. Does anyone have one last question? And Mallory and Lucy, can you type your emails one more time into the chat so that anyone who's sticking around probably has more questions, you can reach out. But yeah, does anyone want to bring us home with the last question? Big pressure, but also we're excited. Richard, Allison, Abby, Ryan, Tessa, questions, anything?
Shout out to Abby and Tessa for missing Ultimate tonight, but coming to this. Woo!
Cool. Well, yeah, if no one has a question. Alex, awesome. Thanks, man.
I was trying to make sure that I wasn't stepping over anybody else. But also, not the most positive question, but I think an important one for feeling confident about this as an opportunity is, what's the refund policy like, and what are kind of the grounds for why or how you could collect a refund if you have already paid the fee for the program?
Awesome. I love that question. Yeah. So basically, Zach, the refund policy is, like you said, like you saw, most of our options and what we want is to get you to the program destination. But there are two cases that happen where people are just like, hey, I experiencing like an emergency and I can't go on the program last minute. Or there were some people who were part of like ROTC and the National Guard and they couldn't attend. So in that case, basically, we ask you to write a letter to the green program. And if it's an accident, you can't attend on the program, it's very easy for us to either give you, to give you a full program credit. Also, some students have gotten refunds in the past, obviously not guaranteed. It is a case-by-case basis, but we also just understand that that's sort of what happens. Our general refund policy, though, if you came up to me and you were over 60 days from the program starting and you were just like, John, I've had a change of heart. I'm moving to Thailand and I want to pursue all these things. I can't go in the program. Basically, you'll get everything back but a $500 non-refundable deposit. And that's usually because we've already spent some of that money for your program fee and your reservation, and finding someone last minute is not fun. It usually actually doesn't cover your full cost. So that non-refundable fee is also there to discourage you from canceling last minute. But otherwise, you'll get everything else back. If it's within 60 days, from 60 to 31, then you receive half of that program remaining. You receive half of that back. If it's within 30 days, we really want you to just postpone to a future program. We plead because we don't want you to lose your money, and we've already spent a lot of your money on you. So in that case, if you just didn't want to go, then the terms and conditions there would be that you forfeit your reservation. Please don't do that. Don't even put us through that. It's actually pretty annoying as we're trying to build this cohort. But we understand that with emergencies and accidents, that's a possibility. So does that make sense, Zach? Cool. Yeah. If you want to talk more at length, or if you need to read those cancellation terms and conditions, I'm happy to send them. My email is john@thegreenprogram, JON. And but I feel like Mallory and Lucy are probably the better people to talk to than I. But I'll put my email in the chat there as well. Feel free to reach out. Thank you again, everyone who's here, skipping ultimate practice, skipping studying. Excited that you all came. Lucy, Mallory, any final words?
I just want to thank you guys all for coming as well. And if you're interested, even maybe if you're not sure if you want to go on the green program because you have these reservations, I'm free to you can reach out to me at any time and we can just talk about it. Even if you're not sure, that is totally okay. I know I had a lot of reservations before too, and John talked to me a lot and really helped me through my reservations. So being ambassadors on campus, we're here for you guys to answer any questions you have. So don't hesitate to reach out at all.
Yeah, I would agree with every single word Mallory just said. I know you all had a tinge or a feeling to join this info session call. So I would encourage all of you to pursue that, because that's a powerful thing and it gets lost a lot, blurred with education and getting a job and an internship. And so this is an exciting opportunity, and I really would love all of you guys to follow through with this. And yeah, like Mallory said, if either one of us, and I know John, if we can help you in any way to do that, we're here for you. So it's a super exciting thing, and I'm really happy that you all came tonight.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Tessa. Thanks, Abby, Ryan, Allison. Great to meet all of you. Take care and have a great night.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.